This is bad. A UFO whistleblower, or an alleged UFO whistleblower, has come forward to state that he is not happy with News Nation nor Ross Coulthart after doing an exclusive interview with them, and it has not aired yet. So, the person who claims to be a whistleblower steps forward on Reddit claiming to have filmed an interview with News Nation and with Ross Coulthart, and is frustrated that it is yet to be released. He claims that he worked at the Eglin Air Force Base and that he was the radar facility tracking UFOs coming and going from Earth, and there is a site named Site C6. He also claimed to have witnessed a UFO/craft land at Eglin Air Force Base, and he said that it was an oval shaped and looked glowing fire on the ground. So we're going to take a little look at his statement. I have found it over on Reddit. It's absolutely crazy because, you know, this person just came left field, right? 1 minute they're not there, the next suddenly they're a whistleblower, and they've done something with Ross Coulthart and News Nation. Very similar to that of David Grush. This could be game-changing. This could be a load of crap. Now, let's be real. If you're going on to Ross Coulthart, if you're going on to News Nation, 9 times out of 10 those people have done their homework. Do you remember that guy, Jason Sands, who also came out over on Reddit, or on Twitter even, and said that he was a UFO whistleblower? Where is that guy? You know, where is that guy? It's completely different as with the David Grush case, for example. He came out on News Nation and with Ross Coulthart in the exact same way. And look at him now. He's thriving. You know, he's probably one of the biggest faces of UFO whistleblowing. So this could be really, really good. And it tells me that there's a little bit of legitimacy in what we're about to read. So in early July, I was interviewed by Ross Coulthart. So this was by the person, by the way. Update on my interview with Ross Coulthart. Interviewed by Ross Coulthart and his show on News Nation titled Reality Check. So that's obviously Ross Coulthart's podcast that he does. We talked about my experience on Eglin Air Force Base when I was a military policeman and the UAP landing I witnessed along with my mother and sister in 1977. At this point, the producer of the show at News Nation said that he would send me a link when the show airs. It's been a month and I don't know if the interview will ever see the light of day. I'm really disappointed with the way that the interview went because Ross grilled me like a prosecuting attorney. If the interview airs, it's all the same to me because I did what I went through, what I thought I needed to do. Now that's interesting, obviously. I mean, I'm not surprised that Ross Coulthart has grilled him because that's what Ross Coulthart's job is. He's not going to sit there in front of someone who he thinks is lying, and he's not going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, you might be telling the truth. You might not be telling the truth, but I don't care ultimately. You know, he's going to ask the right questions because he's going to get to the meat and potatoes of who you are, what you do, and, you know, he's going to cross-examine you because that's great journalism. That's how it works. You know, a month ago, thinking from the kind of point of view of an editorial process, Ross Coulthart, releases his reality checks once a week, I think on a Thursday or something. So, you know, chances are, if you're creating a podcast with the likes of Ross Coulthart, there's probably a backlog of content. I know Ross went away for a week recently where he kind of went on the road and he was doing all sorts of stuff. There's probably a backlog of content on the Ross Coulthart side of things, so they're probably just filtering through that and going through an editorial process. I'm sure this probably will see the light of day because even if this isn't legit, it will be left out to public jury. And also, there's a lot of money to be made for News Nation because these types of episodes would typically do really well. So, the whistleblower went on to state, I saw things before the military and during the military service that I solidified my belief of not only is this phenomenon real, but the military also monitors them with crystal clear footage from Eglin. Unsurprising. I realise that a lot of people want nuts and bolts craft when you are coming forward as a whistleblower, but I wasn't about to lie about what I saw on the base. I can say with certainty, I saw a landed craft about 80 yards away from me when I lived in Georgia, and I still couldn't tell you much about its description other than it was an oval shape and it looked like a glowing fire on the ground. Very interesting. I did have the feeling of being frozen seeing it, but I don't think it was because of the craft making me feel that way. It was just a curiosity of not believing what I was seeing. Okay, fair enough. I believe at this point I've climbed up the tallest mountain I could to tell people what I know firsthand, and now the chips can fall wherever they lay. Fair enough. I'm not going to stress myself any more about it. It's not worth the headache anymore to me and my family. When I believe I'm done with any endeavour wholeheartedly, and it's not something I directly affects my family's well-being, there comes a time to simply move on. I dedicated 10 years of my life to serving in the military, 4 years in the Marine Corps, and 6 in the Army and National Guard. And I'm also an Operation Enduring Freedom veteran. I served until I couldn't serve anymore due to several operations. I told the producer at News Nation, if they don't air the interview, I hope one day Ross... What's this? I told the producer at News Nation, if they don't air the interview, I hope one day Ross and everyone wanting answers will understand the significance of the radar facility at Site C6 on Eglin. Now, I'm just going to take this right here, and I'm going to pop that into Google, and I'm going to see what comes up. So, Site C6 at Eglin, AFB. Let's see what it says. Oh, Eglin AFB Site C6. So, it's got its own Wikipedia page. So let's see this. So Eglin Air Force Base Site C6 is a United States Space Force radar station which houses the ANFPS-85 phased array radar, associated computer processing systems, the radar control equipment designed and constructed for the US Air Force by Bendix Communications Division, Bendix Corporation. Commencing operations in 1969, the ANFPS-85 was the first large phased array radar. The entire radar computer system is located in the receiver/transmitter building and is supported by the site's power plant, fire station, 2 water wells for 128 people, and the infrastructure for the system. As part of the US Space Force's space surveillance network, its mission is to detect and track spacecraft and other man-made objects in Earth's orbit with a combined Space Operations Center satellite catalog. Okay, so obviously the story kind of lines up a little bit here. You know, he says that he worked in Site C6 of the Eglin Air Force Base. We've just seen there that did harbour, you know, the ability to track, well, they say man-made craft within Earth's orbit, but apparently they're using that to also track non-man-made aircraft. So I'm intrigued to see what will come of this. Now, looking through the comments of this post, some of the November 2023 interviews have only been released last month or two, so don't stress, your interview has yet to air if you've already posted it yet. So, what's this? Oh, my experience on Eglin Air Force Base. This is from a year ago. Is this the same person? Have you already posted what you say in the... Oh, right. So we've got more information here. So my experience on the Eglin Air Force Base. So this is the actual statement of what he goes on to talk about. I'm assuming it's a he. Goes on to talk about with Ross Coulthart. So let's have a little dig into this. So, the government monitors UFOs from Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Walton, Florida. There is an SCIF located on Eglin called Site C6. There is a mission statement written on the wall when you get inside the facility in gold letters that reads, "We monitor all space activity terrestrial and extraterrestrial from planet Earth." Wow, okay. The radar can track objects the size of grapefruit from 20,000 miles in space, so the government knows where they come from and where they go once they get here. I was a military policeman in 2009 and I was fortunate enough to visit the facility, which is located about 15 miles deep inside the base. It has since been turned over to the US Space Force. My entire unit was told when we got there, if we were patrolling with the Marine Patrol, that occasionally we would have to retrieve, quote, space junk out of the water. We all kind of laughed about about it when we were told, and I forgot about it until my Air Force Security Forces counterpart asked me if I wanted to go to the site to take some food to the people working there, and I was shocked when I walked inside the facility and read the sentence on the wall. I can recall on 2 occasions when our leaders inexplicitly made us go inside at night because something was flying around and they didn't want us to see it. I also observed an unmarked white jet planes leaving the base. Interesting. Our unit had 2 missions there because we were getting ready to deploy again overseas. First, it was marijuana eradication because Eglin is a huge base. Second, it was doing garrison security working tandem with the Air Force Security Forces and contract security officers. It was one of the most interesting places that I've ever served in my 10-year military career. I served 4 years in the Marine Corps and 6 in active military, Army and National Guard. You can actually go on Google Site C6. I was surprised it's in the public domain. Well, we've just done that, and there's a whole Wikipedia page about it. It's one of those places the government tries to hide in plain sight. I had a UFO sighting when I was very young with my mother and sister. We all 3 observed a UFO on the ground in the field next to where I lived in Georgia in the late 1970s. I had forgotten about it until I visited Eglin and realised that we weren't alone and that the government actually monitors them. It was shocking to me when I learned it was real. I had never spoken about it with my mother about our incident until a few months ago because I couldn't stop thinking about what I learned in Eglin. I came out as a whistleblower and have told some important people investigating this matter my story. I hope that others come forward. I wonder if he's referencing there because this post came out a year ago. So I wonder if he's referencing already Ross Coulthart. But no, because he said that he recorded that back in July. So what really piqued my interest was why does, quote, space junk just fall in and around Eglin Air Force Base and not fall in our backyard sometimes? I've heard rumours of the Air Force employing EMP weapons in order to bait and bring UAPs/UFOs down, but I can't verify that, only what I've observed directly. I've heard Chris Mellon mention Site C6's capabilities, but he's never calls it by its name. I knew what place he was referring to as soon as I heard him mention some of the United States radar capabilities in an interview. A former radar technician at the site said that the Air Force indeed tracked UFOs/UAPs from Site C6 when he was stationed there from 1981 to 1984 and during the Gulf Breeze sightings, according to people he knew that worked at the facility in the 90s. Wow. Wow. This is crazy. Now, I want to take a little look at this top comment here, which also came in a year ago. So this person looks like they've put up an interesting comment stating, I'd like to add that the original poster's post to prove that he isn't crazy or a liar. I'm actually from the area and I used to drive past Site C6 almost daily on my way to work at Sanderstim. C6 sits around 6 miles outside of Defuniak Springs and is just a few miles outside a small township called Alaqua down Pleasant Ridge / Roger Nelson Road, DFS as the locals call it. Sits smack dab in the middle of the number of notable Eglin sites that are peppered throughout the region, including C6, the Hellfire test range, and the MOAB test site. Yes, you heard that right. This is where they designed and tested the Moab and multiple ordnance air busk, aka the mother of all bombs. Why is that notable? Because the sightings in and around the DFS are common but hardly talked about. A few years back, when the gimbal/go fast videos made headlines, I posted about it on Facebook and was surprised to have a few friends in DFS approach me with their own stories of sightings. One notable one was from a high school friend who used to drive down Bob Sykes Road in DFS, which just happens to run right past the Moab site and connects to Highway 285. that goes to Niceville and Eglin Air Force Base. It's a shortcut road we all used to take when heading out of town, and it is surrounding by nothing but miles and miles of woods. This friend told me a time he and another friend were driving down Bob Sykes in the late 90s at dusk. When they got to the clearing at the time, he and the other friend were driving down Bob Sykes in the 90s. When they got to the clearing near the Moab site, they both witnessed, per his description, a football field sized black triangle that was moving back and forth, scanning the area with a weird light at the center. It wasn't a laser or a spotlight, but something else. He couldn't quite describe it. Others to say it was like liquid. And the way it flowed dissipated, and they stopped and watched for a few minutes before deciding it was best to get out of there fast. What's really crazy about this is this same friend, his dad was a civilian / scientist / contractor who came to the career day at our school one time in the late 80s. Where did he work? Site C6. He told us how it was an atmospheric monitoring station for monitoring the weather, and bought a few photos of the facility, all unclassified stuff. The building's exterior, where the large radar panels are, the outside break area / smoking deck. His desk, and one of the 30 plus years later I still recall, and has stuck to me with me ever since. The wall when you first enter reads, "We monitor all space activity, terrestrial and extraterrestrial, from planet Earth." Very interesting. Look at the maps below and you'll see it gets spooky where the triangle was sighted and the Moabs were tested. The site C6 is in relation. So map of the area around the Moab site. Let's take a look at this. I consent. Oh, okay. So site C6 is down here. We've got the Moab test site, Black Triangle site in Hellfire test range, and then site C6 is around here. So that's crazy. Let's continue. Site C6 in relation to the map above. Oh, okay, so this is like a little piece together part. So you've got site C6 here. So it's very south compared to the rest of the site. So it's right down south. Interesting. And then here's the Google Maps link. So there's site C6 there. So if we zoom out. Yeah, so there's Alaqua, or whatever it is. And then, yeah, Eglin Air Force Base site C6. Interesting. What's the photo attached to it? Just from the outside. Wow. Okay. And one last map. The location where I found myself and my mother both witnessed the silver sphere hovering over the town's water in the mid-90s. Wow. And that seems to be a whole story in and of itself. Guys, what do you think of this? This is insane. Does this just add credibility to this whistleblower? Do you think that interview with Ross Coulthart will see the light of day? I truly do. I do think it will see the light of day. I'd be hugely surprised if it didn't, because this could be huge and groundbreaking, just like that of the David Grush case. But I do think there's probably a huge backlog of people. They probably want to edit it properly, vet it properly before they put it out. They need to upstand a level of credibility. But what do you guys think of this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below while you're down there. Be sure to jump to get the hell out of that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Tick on my little bell to get notified whenever we upload to the channel. And until next time, guys, hope you enjoyed. And I'll speak to you later. Peace.